Hello, everyone. Welcome to our How Do You Spirit podcast. And today I have a returning guest, Cori Sartori. Welcome.
Thank you.
She originally came on, like you were one of my first 5 episodes, I think. And we just, did it online through voice. So I'm so happy you're on camera today with us.
Thank you. I'm excited.
And go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, cool.
Cori does all the things.
I am Cori Sartori. I am a life coach. I love it. I am so passionate about helping women. I am a breast cancer survivor.
Yep.
It'll be 4 years in March since I was diagnosed.
Already.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Wow.
I'm a mom to 2 beautiful boys that I'm obsessed with.
Yes.
I am a best-selling author, and I believe I'm a master manifester.
Awesome. And that's what we are going to be talking about today. That's our subject.
Yay, good.
Because I do feel like you are a master manifester for sure.
Yes.
Just a little background. I worked with Cori, I think it was 3 years ago now, probably.
Yeah, it was like 2022.
Yeah. Signed up for her coaching services, and we did the 4-month program.
Yeah, we did 4 months. Yep.
And it was brutal, but amazing. I was scared to death. It was so fabulous, though, and it literally has changed my life. So thank you again. I'm so grateful.
I'm look at all the goals that you've achieved. You're crushing it.
Yes. And one of the most, not the most important goal, but I'm not afraid to be in front of the camera anymore.
Yay. Ooh, that's a good goal.
Because she forced me, to do the videos. And it's so, everybody is always afraid, right? And now.
Yeah, it's out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. And once you do it, it's just like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah. Now I'm like, it's just what we do.
Yeah. You've been on several of the news channels too, right?
I've done a lot of the Good Things Utah morning segments. So yeah, that's always fun to go and talk about, my book or talk about, I've done vision and goal work. I love doing. And so being able to go and share my passion has been really fun to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let's give your book a plug.
Oh, I should have brought it.
I know. I have my copy too. I didn't think to bring it in.
Yeah, so my book is called Thrive and Flourish, Self-Development Strategies for High-Achieving Women in Business and Life. And it's really like a how-to create more joy and abundance, right? Like each chapter is about, like, first chapter is about self-love, and it gives you actions, and then gratitude, and like it gives you actions so you can actually change your life. It's not like, I'm like, just do this.
Yeah, it's a super easy read too.
Yeah,
it's like, because I've read through it, and it's easy to understand and work through, you know, where some books, I feel like when you read them, you just get lost. I'm like,
I'm like, can you get to the point already?
Right?
I get to the point, and then I share with you what to do.
Yes, the magic. So, okay, so master manifester.
Yes.
What does your manifestation spiritually look like for you?
Like, what do I believe?
Yeah, what do you believe, and what are some of your practices?
Sure. I have a lot of beliefs, I guess, because I feel like the more I work on myself and I do self-development and I listen to things and read books, it's ever evolving.
I was just going to say, has it evolved over time?
Totally.
Yeah.
Because I was raised in religion and it's not my jam.
Right.
And that's fine.
Right.
But what I've found is, like, my belief system is really around the universe and energy. And, I believe there's a creator, but I also believe I'm a creator. Like, I believe I can create, a great life or a hard life. Like, I am a creator. And so, I don't, and I wouldn't ever say, like, I feel like that every person has a plan. I think, like, like the Marvel multiverse, where it's like, you make this choice and this is what you get, and you make, like,
I love that reference.
Yeah. But it's totally, that's the life we're given, and by our choices and our manifesting powers and our connection to our belief systems and our higher power, like, it can be ever evolving. Like, I don't think that my destiny is determined by anyone or anything.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you, like, what do you do? Do you meditate? Do you do vision work, boards?
All of it.
What? All of it. Okay, let's start at the top of the list.
Yeah. Okay, so this is where I really feel like, 2012 is when I went through my really hard breakup with Jake when we ended it, and he went to treatment.
Yep.
And I remember watching The Secret.
Yes.
But I was in such a low point, where I was in this place of coming out of a relationship where I was like, everything's his fault. I'm fine. And it's like, no, you suck too.
Yeah.
And I watched The Secret, and I was kind of like, what is this about? But I still didn't start working on myself till a year later. But one of the first things that I found helpful was vision and goal work. So I started learning how to create a vision. And it wasn't just like doing a vision board. It was actually getting clarity on my vision. Where do I want to be 10 years from today? And when I first started, I was like, I have no idea. I have no idea where I want to be in 10 years. So I just wrote out something that, lived in possibility and was exciting. But as I did that practice, things started to happen, and I started.
Were you like, what?
Yeah, I was like, oh, cool. Like things that, like, when I first started, it was like I was writing down things that I knew were going to happen, but I didn't know when, and then they just started happening, and I was like, okay. And then I started pushing out, myself out of my comfort zone. That next year I did my first yoga teacher training because it was on my goals. But that was kind of my first introduction into manifestation, and I think through those years, I still connected with it, but I was really focused on my vision and goal work and self-development and doing forgiveness work and a lot of different things. It was at the end of 2015 where I became aware of anti-vision.
Oh,
which is like...
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah. So I was at this seminar in Canada, and this woman was talking about an anti-vision. Like, you can have a beautiful vision for your life and the things that you want. But if in the back of your mind, you're saying it's never going to happen, it's not meant for you, it will never happen. Yeah, so, right, it's that self-doubt, it's that negative self-talk.
Yep.
But at this point on my vision that I had written out, because I continue to do the work, like I still write out my vision and goals. I have a 1-year goal, 5, like I have them all. I had that I wanted to get married and have kids. But at this time, I think I was 34 and single and had never had a successful relationship. And I live here in Salt Lake, so people are like, "What's wrong with you?" Right?
You don't have any kids yet?
Yeah. Or people will be like, "You're divorced, right?" And I'm like, "No, I'm single." So I'd had that on my vision, but because of what like family members had said, I have an aunt and a cousin who are in their 170, 150, and they've never been married or have kids, so it's always been like, you're going to be like your aunt. It's not going to work out for you. So not only did I have my own negative self-talk around how relationships failed constantly,
but I had
that
to you. Right,
yeah. Like, oh, you're going to end up alone. You're past 30 and you're like, it was just
you're over the hill.
But in that moment, I had that awareness of like, oh, my thought is it's never going to happen for you. And so it made me aware of it. So I was able to stop it and like shift it. And I think, that's part of manifestation is building the awareness around the thought that is stopping you from manifesting and receiving and shifting it. And so I brought awareness to it. And so anytime it would come up, I would say, stop. And then I would start repeating my mantras. Okay. Like, what were my mantras? Like, I'm in love. I'm connected to my favorite person. Like, it was just, that's how I did it. And then I think that was like October. And then it was February 2016 when Jake came back into my life after not talking for 3 years.
I am so getting chilled up this whole time, just so you know.
But yeah, it's so funny. Like, Jake came back into my life because my house flooded, and he worked at the company because when we bought that house together, we bought it together.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then, he gave it to me when we broke up. But yeah, I had texted him like, hey, the house flooded. Like, can you give me the number to the company? Because it was like 7:00 at night. And he's like, I'll be right there. I'm like, no.
Whoa, buddy.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm good. Please go ahead and just send me the number. But he came over and helped me out. And at the end of the week, he said to me, I want what you have. You're a different person. You're not the same person you used to be. Because I'd done so much self-development and so much work, right? I think this is something that like keeps coming back is like, my father-in-law said to me yesterday, like, oh, I wish that maybe Jake didn't have to go through the addiction and the hard things. And I said to him, I'm like, no, like if he didn't go through that, we wouldn't have this amazing life we have today. And I said to him, I'm like, everything is always working out for me. Like, and I've seen it in so much in this story that I want to share is everything is always working out for me, even if I don't
love
see
that.
it, even when I'm in the complete like poop storm of life. But so Jake came back into my life, and we were, you know, I was not going to date him, but we started dating a couple months later, and then by the end of the year we were engaged. And
so fast.
Wow. It was because I changed my anti-vision around what I wanted, right? Like so many things, once I started my vision and goal practice, so many things started happening because I believed it was going to happen. That belief is powerful.
Yep. It's a big part of it.
Yeah. But also doing the work, right? I had the vision. I had my vision written out, and not just, it's not a vision, like writing out my vision and being specific. Like, this is where I live. This is what I have. This is like
the details.
That specific. Yeah. And I read it every morning.
I love
like
it.
I sit in my little, you know, my crystals and all my things.
Yeah.
I journal and I read my vision, and that is what has helped me to attract those things. So like Jake came into my life, and you know, it was just meant to be.
Looking
even though
back,
it was hard.
Yeah, looking back, do you, before you did all, you know, that work on yourself, did you ever dream in a million years that he would be back in your life?
No way. No way.
You're like anti.
I was like, ugh. Like it was so, here's the thing. I had so much negative energy towards Jake for being an addict and having a codependent relationship with him and I blamed everything on him.
Yeah.
It was
nothing was your fault.
But you know, and then I realized, it was. But that was the thing. It was like, I was holding on to so much negative energy. And I think this will stop manifestation too, is like, I had so much negative energy towards Jake, so much blame, so much hate. So that same weekend that I heard that anti-vision speech, there was another speaker that I had heard that had said, she was talking about forgiveness and forgiving yourself, like self-forgiveness. But I remember sitting there and being like, oh my gosh, I had never forgiven Jake for any of it. I blamed him for everything, and it was totally like my bad too.
Yeah.
So that's October 2015. So it was that same weekend. So right, like so cool. But I text him the next day after hearing that, and I said, hey, can you talk? And he freaked out and like, wait, what's going on? I was like, this is great. And I was like, I need to talk to you. And he's like, can you do it today? I was like, no, I'm in Canada. I was in Vancouver.
So you kept him hanging?
I said, yeah. I was like, I'll meet you. Yeah. I was like, I'll meet. And you know, I mean, I'm so, because I'm not that way where I'm like anxious about things. And he was like probably anxious the whole weekend. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, and he was dating another girl. Like,
oh, wow.
He wasn't single. Like,
okay.
So, but I was just like, I just need to see you in person. And I don't ever tell anybody they have to forgive somebody in person or really actually do it. But like, it's just something I felt called to do.
Yeah.
And so we met at Liberty Park. And we sat down at a picnic table, and I said, like, I want to apologize for who I was in a relationship, and I want to apologize for being an enabler and being mean, you know, like so much anger. So I sat down and forgave him, and he was like, no. I'm like, no, like, let me. And he always says to me to this day, he's like, it was so weird for you being somebody that's not an addict to make an amends. It was wild to me that like you were making an amends and you've never done. You know, because Jake, you know, as you go through the 12 steps, part of it is amends. So he was so confused, and he was like, what is going on? And I remember leaving that conversation just feeling like free. Like, you know, people say like, you're lighter. And it was like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. You know? But it's like, if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't have sent that text a couple months later and then changed, you know, my entire
and here
trajectory.
You are.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
So, so I feel so blessed in that. And then I think, you know, I always have stayed connected to that learning. Like, you know, the next year in 2016, it was that same year that we got together. I quit my full-time job and I started doing my life coaching business because I was just like, this is what I want to do.
And the coolest thing about it, and which is amazing, is you've been through the experience.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think nobody wants to go to a life coach that has had like the most amazing life. That's like, it's just been so bad.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think there's been so many moments that have been hard, especially in the last, you know, 4 or 5 years. But because I started to do that self-development and I leaned into gratitude and I leaned into everything is always working out for me. Like everything has been okay, even in those hard moments.
So go back to your story. So you started dating.
Yeah.
And then you got engaged.
We got engaged. And then the next year we got married and pregnant, like the same. We were planning our wedding and then I got pregnant. I was like, I have to change the date. Yeah. It was wonderful. I mean, I I'm so grateful for Lincoln. He's like going to be 7 next month, and he's just such a blessing.
I can't believe how big he is.
I know.
When I see both of your kids.
Yeah, they're huge.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
I just, like, every day I just fall in love with him more. Like, I picked him up from school yesterday, and I was like, hey, babe, how was your day? What was your favorite thing? And he's like, being with you. And I'm like, oh my God, I love you so much. So he's such a blessing. So, yeah, 2018 was when Lincoln was born. So, we got married in 2017, and then Lincoln was born that next year. And so it was like, it's so funny to look back to, like, there's moments where, like, things are so wonderful, and then, like, things change, because I think in that moment, like, things were so great in 2018. In 2019, I did my 300-hour yoga teacher training, and then Jake and I were like, okay, we're going to start having a baby. We're going to try again. Let's have another baby. And then COVID happened.
Yep.
And then, like, that whole year I spent trying to have a second baby, right? Trying to do my manifestation for it.
Yes.
But I guess I forgot that my timeline is not the universe's timeline.
Yeah.
And so in late 2020, we started to do fertility treatments. I'd gone to, like, my gynecologist. She's like, I got nothing for you. You gotta go somewhere else. And so I did start doing fertility treatments. And then because life coaching was going so awesome, I quit my full-time job again, because I went back to a full-time job in 2017, and I loved it. I worked for a great brand, and I had the most amazing employees, but I just knew that I was supposed to do full-time life coaching, right?
Yeah.
Like, as having a baby and all those things that were happening, I felt called to go back to a job, but then I was like, no, this is my purpose. My purpose is to life coach.
So you trusted the process.
Yeah. So I quit. It was actually February 12th of 2021. I quit my full-time job, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a full-time life coach. And then I, like, had gone to the fertility doctor, and they gave me estrogen and progesterone, and then, like, my body started, like, I hurt my back and my knee, and I had a panic attack on a plane and got off the plane. Like, it was all these weird things started happening. I was like, what is going on?
Oh my gosh.
Right? Like, the energy was off. And then I found a lump in my breast and had an appointment to go to see the fertility doctor that week. So I went, and they immediately got me in for, like, all of the things. And it was, like, Lincoln's 3rd birthday. You know, they're like, come in. I'm like, no, it's my child's 3rd birthday. I'm not coming in to do any of this stuff.
Right.
So I went the next week, and I did the biopsy, and they called me 4 days later, and they said, you have breast cancer. And I was like, are you kidding me? Right? Like, this is not on my vision.
Right.
But here's the funny thing that I think, now I look back, I'm like, my word of the year for 2021 was growth.
Oh.
That is what I put for my word of the year. I was like, I wanted to grow my family.
Yep.
And I wanted to grow my business. Those are my 2, like, growth things.
Yes.
And that's not what happened.
No.
But I grew so much, so incredibly much. Like, I look back on, because
you grew, like, in different ways.
Yeah. Like, I got that diagnosis, right? It's like freak out mode, panic. Like, I'm a life coach. I'm a yoga teacher. What? How's this happening?
Yeah,
I'm a 3-year-old. All this, like, crazy stuff. And so it was a couple, like, when you get cancer and they, like, feed, like, I am, like, it's so overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's so overwhelming.
I mean, I don't know,
like,
but I can imagine.
Like, I'm like, I don't know doctor words. Like, what?
Yeah.
I remember being in my room, like, sitting in my bed feeling sad that I had cancer. And, like, have you ever seen the documentary Heal?
I have not.
So they have, it's basically people, like, saying, here's different ways to heal your body. And Dr. Joe Dispenza, he is
I need to watch that.
Yeah, it's so good. Because it talks about, like, how people have healed themselves from, like, stage 4 cancers and different things. There's a woman who wrote a book called Radical Remission, and she's in it as well. So I was sitting there thinking, I can probably heal myself, right? I wasn't for sure, but, like, all the things that they wanted me to do, I was not interested in doing them.
So had you seen that documentary
I had seen it before. I had seen it before.
Okay.
And I had recently I think I had read one of Dr. Joe Dispenza's books just like a few months before. So I was aware of his work and, like, his belief system. And so I decided I was going to do Reiki every other week, and then I would do acupuncture every other week. And I, from that, like, when they're telling me, like, that documentary, like, you can heal yourself, I was like, well, if they can do it, I can do it too. Right. Yeah. So I started to, when I would go to Reiki, when I would go to acupuncture, I would lay down and I would visualize, like, I'm happy, healthy, healed, and whole. I would, like, imagine, like, my cancer shrinking. When I would go to chemo appointments, I would imagine, right? Okay. So I saw that. It was, like, the perfect timing. I saw the documentary, and it was like, this is what you need to do. I was like, okay. Then a few weeks later, I was watching another one, and I feel like I want to say it was, like, a sequel to The Secret. But at the end of it, the guy says, if you want to have a true gratitude practice, you have to be grateful for this shit.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was like, I have to be grateful for cancer. But it was true because, a lot of, when Jake and I started dating again, because when he had said to me, you're a different person, I want what you have, I started teaching him things. And one of those things was gratitude.
Yeah.
Like we would text each other every day, 3 things we were grateful for. And that was really the foundation for our relationship. We're getting back together because gratitude is transformational, right? So yes. I'm watching this documentary and I'm like, oh God. But in that moment, it made me also switch my mindset to cancer's not meant to destroy me. It's meant to launch me forward.
Yeah.
Like it's here so I can grow. My word of the year is growth. And so I decided I was going to manifest it. So I had gone to my oncologist and she's like, you need to do, because they'd found a second tumor. You need to do 3 different chemo medicines, get a port and do it for 6 months. And I was like, hell no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be doing this shit in 6 months. Like, no way.
Yeah.
So I agreed to do 4 rounds with 2 medicines and I would just do an IV. I'm not getting a port. So when I would go to my chemo appointments, I would like imagine that, right? And I think that mindset of like, this is doing exactly what it needs to do. And then say my mantra, like, yep, I'm happy, healthy, healed, and whole was really powerful. And during that time, even before my first chemo appointment was in May of 2021, the very end of April, the first week of May, I think we did a round of IVF to save eggs. Cause my fertility doctor was like, if you go through chemo, like we don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And so we did the round. They got 3 eggs and they made 4 embryos and they called me on a Thursday and they're like, everything's going great. Everything looks good. And then they called me that next Monday, which was the week of my 40th birthday, and told me all my embryos died.
Oh my gosh.
And hearing that was worse for me than hearing that you have cancer.
Yeah.
Like that, I was like.
Shattered you probably. Yeah.
Heart.
Yeah.
I was like, you cannot tell me I can't have another baby. Like I love Lincoln.
Yeah.
I just knew. I'm like, I meant to have 2 little ones. So I started chemo, did all those things. And it's when I finally went, I chose to do a mastectomy on my left side. And when they went in there, almost all of my cancer was gone. There was just specks. And I'm like, okay, I believe that yes, chemo helped, but I don't think that was like, I know that my mindset.
Yes.
And so I think in that lesson I needed to learn because it made me realize like, you're powerful and you healed yourself from cancer. You can do this. So, after you have cancer, they want you to be on all these awful medicines.
Yes.
And I just said, no way.
So you didn't take anything after?
No. I took 1 medicine for 3 days and it made me want to murder my husband. So I decided I was
not a good idea.
This is not good for my family. So no. But in that, right, like, I mean, I fully believe, my mantra still is, I am happy, healthy, healed, and whole. Like, I fully believe that cancer is not coming back for me. I know in that moment, it was meant to teach me something. And if it does, I know I've got this. I know that I can heal myself if it does. And if it's coming to teach me something.
Yeah.
So I don't like live in that fear at all. So, I feel like a lot of the doctors were trying to make me feel that fear. And I was like, no, like even after one of my last appointments being pregnant with Nixon, they said, are you going to breastfeed? And I was like, yeah. They're like, well, we don't want you to. We want you to get on these meds. And I was like, I'm done with this stuff. I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. So I just don't have any belief that it's ever going to happen again. I needed to learn a lesson. And it was powerful. So that was, my mastectomy was August 2021. I had a couple more surgeries and some hard things that had happened, but I was ready to be over it. Like I was like, wrap this up. Yeah, 2022, right? I was like, let me leave this in the past. Which was like it was still there. My hair was growing back from all those things, but
because you lost all of your hair, right?
I lost most of it. I did cold capping. So if you ever see like a picture of me when I'm being chemo, like I had this hat on. Because the ice is supposed to, but almost all my hair still fell out. Because after my last chemo treatment, my hair fell out for another 2 months.
Oh.
So I lost almost all my hair. So I wore a wig for a while. If you see like videos from me like early 2022, I'm like rocking my wig.
I thought it was great.
But so that was, then 2022 we worked together. And then it was May. So May 2022, I was like, okay, I think that was like my 42nd birthday. Was it my 40? Yeah. And no, it was my 41st birthday. Was it? Yeah. I'm like, how old am I?
I know. I don't keep track either. We don't.
But I was like, oh my gosh, I want to have another baby. Like on my vision was Lincoln and Liberty. I was going to have a baby girl.
Yeah.
So
I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
I would read my vision every day. I always do positive affirmations as part of my morning routine. And one of them was like, I'm pregnant with a happy, healthy, perfect baby girl. Like I was, all of these things.
Yep.
And then in May 2022, they were like, you are not going to be able to have, like, you have less than 5% chance. Like, you're old and your eggs are old. And I was like, nope. Right? Because I think for me in that moment, it's like, well, I can believe you or I can believe in myself.
Yeah. Watch
and
me.
I believed in myself through cancer and I was able to heal myself. And so I was like, I'm going to do it. I had done a lot of manifesting. And I decided what was going to work for me was like every night I would lay down in my bed and I would like visualize a white healing light coming down and healing my ovaries and my eggs and my uterus, whatever.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what was wrong, right? I mean, they said like your eggs. So I would visualize healthy eggs. So I would do like that visualization. And then I would start to imagine finding out I was pregnant, being pregnant, like having my baby and like feeling all those feelings. Like that is to me is like such a big part of manifestation is your feelings, because like even when I was going through cancer, like I would feel how I would feel when I was cancer free, and when I wanted to have this baby, I would feel how I would feel if I found out I was pregnant and when I would hold this baby. And so I did that for 6 months straight. I remember because it was during that time when I came here and we did a session together.
Yep.
And I think that was probably such a good thing for me because I remember you saying like, yes, like you're going to have another baby.
Yeah.
And I believed it, but then that gave me like validation that I was like, which is so good because I remember I think it was October and Jake was like, we'd been trying, right? But Jake, he's like, babe, I don't think it's going to happen. And I don't want you to be disappointed, but I just don't think it's going to happen for us. Like we have Lincoln and that's like, we love him. And I'm like, I know, but it's going to happen. Like I was like,
and you weren't doing anything.
I was just doing my manifestation.
To help.
Yeah. Like
but there were not any medications involved. Nothing.
Nothing. Like I took vitamins, but.
Right. Just the old school natural way.
But I also I remember that there was like this one day where I was like, okay, I'm going to go take a bath. And I was sitting in the bath and I just sat there and I when I pray, this is how I pray. Dear God, higher power, source energy, spirit guides, angels, ancestors.
You get it, everybody in there.
Them all.
I love that.
But I was just like, I want this so bad. Like, what do I need to do? And I remember sitting in the bath and I felt prompted. It was like, get your ovulation kit. And I was like, I've done that. Oh my gosh, I've done so many stupid ovulation kits. Okay, I'm going to trust it. And so I did it. And it was after that, that I got pregnant.
Wow.
Because I used it. And then I found out when I was ovulating and I
you're like,
hey, honey. At the same time where Jake was like, it's not going to happen for us. But I think because I had so much belief in it that he couldn't even shake me. Yeah. Like my own husband couldn't even shake me when he was like, it's not going to happen. I was like, yes, it is. You don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And then it was a few weeks later that, I got up really early in the morning and I took a pregnancy test.
Did you think you were pregnant or did you just take one to see?
I just took one to see because, I mean, how many devastating pregnancy tests all nope.
Right.
I mean, I'd done that since 2020, right?
Yeah.
And at this point it was November 2022. And so I was just over all those stuff, but I was like, okay, let's see. And I it was positive and I lost it. Called Jake, he was at work and I'm like, he doesn't answer. So I'm like, call me back.
I got some news.
He calls me back and I'm crying and he's like, what's going on? Freaked out. And I was like, I'm pregnant. And he's like, no. And I just, so I took another one just to make sure, but oh my gosh, it was I knew I could create this miracle. I knew I could do it. Nobody was going to tell me. And I think that for me, that self-belief in manifestation, I know, again, I know everything is always working out for me.
Yes.
Because if Nixon had been one of those embryos, he wouldn't be who he is.
Exactly.
And he's perfect.
Yes.
He is the most perfect little boy. He was born August 2023, and he is magical. he's just such a wonderful little person, and he wouldn't be him if
right. It's divine timing, right?
Yes,
divine timing. Yeah,
totally. So
he came when he was supposed to.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting because I look back on that time of when I was able to manifest Nixon, and I was so good at my morning routine. Like I get up in the morning and I do my positive affirmations or new beliefs. I read my vision and my goals. I'll journal. I write out all my goals. I meditate. And because I was taking care of myself, I think in that way by doing that, and then at night manifesting in my bed.
Yep.
That was powerful energy that I was creating, because it was also a time in my business where I was like, I was getting so many clients and I was like, what is happening? What is going on? But it was like, because I was just so in that manifestation energy, like everything I wanted was coming to me.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because it was like after, being pregnant, I got so sick and it was like different, and I fell off, and it's interesting to see like where my mindset happened. And like, I struggled. I mean, having a baby's hard and being pregnant's hard, right? Like I wasn't in
that same energy level.
Yeah. And so like, I maybe did things that with my business that I wouldn't have done if I was in the right mindset.
Yeah.
But it's interesting now, like, I mean, I slay my morning routine all the time.
Yeah.
Even on days when my baby doesn't sleep. But because I'm focused on this, it's again, I'm in that energy of manifestation, and like everything is always working out for me. Like it's incredible.
See, I tell people that too. And I think it's really hard for some people to really, truly believe that everything does work out for us.
Yeah. Because I think in that moments, it's really hard to, because if I look back in my 20s when I was in that toxic on again, off again, like there would have been no way I would have been able to foresee this beautiful, perfect life that I have now.
Yeah.
I didn't think everything was working out. It was like I was in such a victim mindset.
Of course.
But now that I'm like, I'm not the victim, I'm the creator, right? And everything's always working out for me.
Yeah.
Everything is, even when it's like,
you might have little bumps, right?
Yeah.
But in the end, it just works.
Yeah. Like it's even crazy. It was in January, Jake had to like shift into transition in his job, and he was like, oh my gosh, I don't know, like really worried about it. And then all of a sudden, like he got because Jake does coaching too now.
Okay.
And so he started getting all these clients. I was like, babe, this is the universe like making this happen for you.
Right.
Like, I'm like, you should probably just go to part-time so you can start, like, you've been manifesting this and now it's happening. Like, it's not happening the way you thought it would.
Right.
But it's happening. So it's awesome to see like how even in those moments of like, oh, I don't want this to be happening. Like it's working out.
Again, perfectly. It's a timing thing.
Yes.
So is he part-time now?
No, he's not. But he's just doing his 40 hours, like having a chill job right now, and it's great because
it's working.
Yeah, and I love it too, because then he gets more time with Lincoln, and that's the thing where I feel like Jake always said when he was in, a higher level position was, I wish I had more time with my family. I wish I was home more. I'm just so exhausted. So now it's like perfect because he goes to yoga almost every day, and he gets like him and Lincoln are going on a date when he picks Lincoln up from school. Like it's perfect because I mean, every day Jake and I say to each other, like, we're so happy. We're so lucky. We love our life.
Yes.
Yes, there's their hard times, there's their hard moments, there's their fights, there's their arguments. Like, yeah, but everything's still awesome and everything is working out.
That's so amazing. I love that.
Thanks.
So what, and we're not supposed to share all of our things we're trying to manifest. Do you believe in that?
No,
you
I
do? You're like,
I'm like, I'll tell anybody what I'm manifesting.
Because I read stuff or listen to books and they're like, you're not supposed to tell anybody.
Yeah, and I hear that too, but I'm also like,
but so you
it
don't.
probably depends who you tell too, though.
Totally.
Maybe.
They could make you feel like it's not going to happen.
Yeah, so I'm not going to share my goals and dreams with negative. Like,
right.
If somebody's going to like poop on my ideas.
Right.
But I'm like going to share my vision and goals with people that are on that same path, which is usually who I try to surround myself with, is people that are like wanting to achieve. And so I'll tell everybody what I want to work on.
So what are you working on then? What are some of your...
Well, I feel this last year I really went leaning back into life coaching hard. And that is what I really want to manifest this year, is like business stuff. Because I really love doing coaching. And so last year I created a group coaching program, so it's more affordable for more women to join and be there.
Is that the Glow Up?
The Goddess Glow Up Academy.
The Goddess Glow Up.
It's so fun. I love doing it. But I've been manifesting, and I have so many clients right now. It's insane.
I love
it. Which is great. That's why, I have so many one-on-one clients. But I'm getting all these women in this group program too. And so for me, it's I coach because I want to make an impact. Because I know that if I make an impact on you, then you're going to tell somebody else in your life, and then the ripple effect, right? That's why I coach. And so it's lovely to see these women thriving and achieving goals. And so a lot of business stuff is what I wanted to ask. Because again, I want my husband to be able to just be part-time and be home with the kids.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I mean, we have so many great opportunities that have come up with doing corporate coaching, or even working with some different recovery centers where when they have, people that are to the point where they want to leave, giving them still that aftercare through support. And so we've had a lot of great opportunities come up with manifestation within that. And so I feel really, really lucky, because there's even I think everything is always working out, because we were supposed to go to a seminar in January, and the fires happened in LA. That's where it was supposed to be. So it got canceled. So now it's pushed into March. And, in that moment, I could have been frustrated because I had to change all my flights, and I had to change.
It's inconvenient.
Yeah. But then I did it, and I'm okay, this is supposed to be happening for a reason. And now I have a big meeting with, a company to hopefully do some corporate coaching with them. And it's the day after I get back. And so I'm I'm going to be in such high energy coming back that's probably exactly why this is,
that happened.
It happened for me in this beautiful way. And I think that mantra of always, everything is always working out for me, has just been life-changing. So yeah, lots of business stuff I'm manifesting, but everything else goes along with that. Right. So, I mean, I found 2 babysitters this week. I feel that's manifest. As somebody that wants to go on a date night with her husband, when people come, they're I can watch your kids. I'm
yes, thank you.
I manifested you.
I love that. So, the company coaching stuff, is that a one-time deal that you would go and do, or is it a kind of a program style?
I want to be able to do kind of whatever that looks like for each company, because I've spent 20 years working in corporate America, and I've done a lot of, creating systems for businesses and leading teams. I've done a lot of that work, and I want to be able to kind of go in and say, okay, what is not working here?
Yes.
And let's fix it. And let's fix it with not just let's just try to market more, or try to, push that. It's about who the energy is in the company, right?
Yep.
It starts with the person at the top. And so I want to go in and say, let's talk about your vision and goals. Let's talk about your core values and your core principles. And what do your core values and core principles look like in action?
Yeah.
Because you can say integrity is your core value, but what does that actually mean to your business in action?
Yeah.
So I want to be able to share that, because I just think too, it's people will be happier in their careers if they're happier with themselves. And so being able to do vision and goal work and help them get clarity on well, what do I actually want? Because I think, I always try to look up statistics and hear things, but it's 80% of adults don't write out their goals.
No.
They don't ever, they try to keep it up in their mind, and they hope it happens, and then it never happens.
Because you forget about them, or you forget about what they are, or
it's not a priority. So whatever, it was just a dream I had once. I mean, that is why I write out my visions constantly, and I write out the goals that go along with it, so I can actually achieve them. So I want to be able to take that into corporate America, because I know for me, when I was still working in corporate America and then also doing life coaching, and I would bring my life coaching into it, right? I mean, it transformed. I mean, and it was I got to think 2020, when that happened, I was the person that in the company people were hey, Cori, what do we do? It's let's lean into gratitude. How can we lean into gratitude right now? And that helped everyone shift out of that scary freak out. Oh my gosh, do I have a job? What's going on? Right. In those moments.
Changing their mindsets, right?
Yeah. And so it's that is the stuff that I saw for my own personal team, but also within the companies I worked for that changed things, is talking about core values and what does it look like in action, and getting our vision and goals straight, and giving feedback, but not I've heard that some companies will go and they'll do a review where they'll go ask all of your team members what they think about you. Yeah. And then they'll go and be this is why you suck. And to me, I'm why would you do that?
Right.
If you tell somebody that, they're going to push back, right? And so to me, it's
needs to be in a positive light.
I want to be able to let me coach somebody maybe one-on-one or in these groups, and then encourage them to go and ask for feedback.
Right.
So it's not like an attack, right? And then
Yeah.
you can say, so yeah, I would love to be able to do that and share that. So hopefully that's something that's going to be coming up this year.
Well, employer, corporate America, whatever, they're only really as good as their employees. And just think the impact that could have on people to have a strong, healthy.
Yeah, sorry. I think it's my alarm. I like to set alarms to remind me to do my affirmations.
I love it.
To turn them off.
She's super dedicated.
I'm like,
it's time.
Yeah, I am so that person where I am like, remember to practice what you preach. Like, so that like alarm will come up in the morning, remind me to do my morning routine, and then
that's what's me and my planner. Maybe I should do some alarms too on my phone, because
I have
you get distracted, right?
Yeah, it's
easy.
Day. Yeah. And then it's like you forget to. I mean, I think a lot of even so you set an intention in the morning. And then by noon, you're like, what did I want to work on?
You've gone down the rabbit
my alarms that are like, remember your intention.
Oh my God.
Or live in gratitude, right? Those things. So I have alarms going off all the time. My apologies.
No, I love that. That's a great, because we get so distracted from just living, right?
Yeah.
Work, kids, husband, house, whatever.
That's why it's important to have a morning routine.
Oh my gosh, yes. I can 100% tell. And I just started on my calendar yesterday where it's like, this needs to be a non-negotiable for Saturday, Sunday too. Because like it's Saturday, Sunday, I'm like, okay, I'm momming all day. Yeah. So I just will like lay in my bed until Lincoln's like, Mom, let's go. Which is, still 7 a.m. But I just have realized I'm like, ooh, I'm kind of a crankier mom by Sunday when I don't do it. And so I'm like, I have to do that morning routine even on the weekend. Yeah. Because it makes me show up better. It's like, I tell people, I'm like, I go work out for my mental health. I'm not here for fitness. Right. I'm here for my mental health.
Your brain fitness.
Like, it's great that there's a physical aspect, but
right.
It's for my mindset.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It is. Wow. I love that.
How long did it take you when you made the decision to become a life coach? How long did it take you to start getting clients?
I got clients pretty quickly because I wasn't working full time at that time. So I had all the time to do my business. So I leaned into, I was teaching yoga a lot. Okay. So that's the perfect.
Right. The perfect setting.
Yeah. So I think I got a lot of clients from that community right away. And then also like I started to host workshops and different things. And this was before like a lot of things were being done online. So I did a lot of in-person, Jake would go and he would like hand out I had like a pamphlet and I had business cards and he would like go take them all over the place for me. And so that was awesome. And then, our Google page, once I got the Google page set up, like that also helped. Yeah. So grateful for that. But yeah, I think now it's like a lot of people find me on social media. Yeah. Somehow, some way they find me on social media. Yeah. Or somebody will text me like, hey, so-and-so referred you. So I do get a lot of referrals as well.
Wow. So what kind of coaching is Jake doing? Is he doing like the same stuff, but for men, like where you focus more in the women community?
Yeah. So I would say like what we do is a little bit different because yes, we do some of this similar things, but like Jake's ideal client is men. And he's really good with men that have, mental health problems. Okay. He is really good with executive functioning. So he's really good at that. Like he's really he is good with all of those things. So he still does a lot of the things that I do, like vision and goal work and things like that. But he
puts his own spin on
it. Yeah. And then where I do a lot more, I work with mostly women. Right. And I do my group coaching, and a lot of it is, I mean, the group coaching program is 12 months. So in it, there's like 52 weeks of trainings. So we do weekly calls. We do an accountability call and a training call, but they also have 52 weeks of trainings already there. So
that
like
sounds
vision
scary.
Goals, self-love. Yeah. But it's awesome because if you just do like one a week, it's perfect. And it's awesome to see these women. So it's a little bit different because Jake will meet with men in person and I don't. I meet only online because I have clients all over the country. Right. And so we, what we do is a little bit different, but at the end of the day, like we want to help people live happier, healthier lives and have more joy and abundance. And so, since we're both business owners, part of the company, like we can share things and give each other advice or, this is what I would do. And so I think that's awesome too. Yeah, Jake's a great coach. He does so awesome.
Does he do any, or has he considered any addiction coaching?
Yeah, so he has been able, see, that was one of the things that happened when his job was like, it's when it switched. It was like the day after he connected with somebody at the place that he went through recovery. And so they might want to bring him on a couple of days to support. And then another gal that he went to recovery with, he connected with a few weeks later, and we're going to go tour their facility next week.
Awesome.
So,
wow, big things.
I know. See, that manifestation is happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I just kept telling Jake, I'm like, you manifested this. You manifested this.
Yeah. When you say that, what does he think? Does he think she's crazy?
No,
or
he's totally.
Is he like?
He's like now. He's like, I believe you can do anything. Like you did.
You're so magical.
Yeah. He's like, I have no doubt in my mind now that like you can do exactly what you say you want to do.
And that probably helps him to become more confident in his manifestations and process it, how he does that.
Yeah, like he's been asking me lately. Like
you guys are going to be well, you're super powerful.
But I think like even that seminar we're going to go to, it's really a manifest. It's the Dr. Joe Dispenza one, the guy that I like. And so I'm really excited because I'm like, I get to see him in person.
Oh my gosh.
Because I just feel like if I hadn't listened to what he was the person I needed here to tell me like you are powerful and you can do anything. Your mind is powerful, right? So I'm really excited to do that and then have Jake be there with me and like him get to experience it because I think that he'll be like, oh my gosh, I can be a master manifester too.
Yeah. That was one book that you recommended and I listened to. I'll have to go revisit that one. Yeah,
he has a couple. One of the ones the one I listened to right before I manifested Nixon was I think it's called Becoming Supernatural.
Oh.
Or something. If you look it up, Dr. Joe Dispenza, you'll find it. But I was like, oh yeah, I can.
That's my
manifest.
next one then.
Yeah, because I mean, it's so interesting to think. I didn't believe in manifestation for a long time, and now I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm slaying it.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to see all of those things. So even like, my parents that are very religious, like now they're kind of like, oh my gosh, this girl is like.
She's on fire.
Yeah, because I'm just like, I know. And I think a lot of it is because I have that self-belief. I believe that I can create. And then if I feel like, okay, I'm not attracting what I want, I'm like, well, where's my block? And I have to figure out that limiting belief. Because I think for, me, sometimes it was money, the way I was raised. So like, you don't have enough money. We can't afford that. And so I was raised that way too. Yeah.
And you probably too, Chelsea.
Yeah. And so we have to like change. So I had to do,
Yeah.
And sometimes I think as I level up, I still have to do it and be like, okay, what's coming up? But I'm just at this point now where I like to live as if all of my prayers have already been answered. Right? Like even when I'm pissed off and I'm trying to teach my yoga class and there's traffic and I'm sitting there, I'm just like, everything is always working out for me.
Yeah. I do that
Everything
too.
is always working out for me.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. Because I'm just like, I can't control this. So I'm just going to like be good and I'll be late. And nobody's going to be hurt and it's going to be fine.
Everything will happen how it's supposed to.
Yeah. And I think leaning into that, and like, I can tell the shift in my own energy since I've made this my consistent mantra. Like, I'm just a happier mom. I'm a happier wife. I'm a happier friend. Like, I am so much more joyful because everything is always going to work out for me. Like, it's all working out.
So when you because we all have that outside chatter of the world in our ears all the time or on the social media or whatever, that's where I have to be super careful and not engage with that.
Yeah.
Because it takes me down the rabbit hole of
That's what I'm going to call the web or the episode. Everything's always working out for you.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So how do you just, because we all have chatter, right?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What do you do to bring yourself back?
I think it's what we were saying earlier is that everything's happening in its divine timing. Okay. Like, yeah, I had to be in my 40s to be successful in my business, but that's okay because I had to go through all of those hard things in my 20s and 30s and learn and grow. And I had to go through that to get to where I am now. And everybody's on their own timeline. And so I think that understanding that nothing is going to happen on my timeline helps me a lot.
You just let the universe handle it.
And I like to say too, like, this or something better. So if that's not meant for me, that's okay. Something better is going to be. Like, you know, I didn't have a little girl that was written on my vision board.
Right.
But man, I sure got something better with that little Nixon. So I just feel like, you know, it's this or something better. You know, I visualize in my mind the things that I want, and it's like, okay, it's either going to be this or something better. But I know that I'm powerful, and I know I can create it. And I know that when that chatter comes up, I have to be aware of it, and I have to shut it down.
Yes.
Or it will start
taking you down the...
I've done a lot of practice on that of like...
It does take a lot of practice.
I think, you know, what I learned is when I first started showing up on social media a lot, because I was running my business since 2016, but I didn't start showing up on social media a lot. I mean, I did a little bit, but really showing up was like the end of 2021.
Yeah. Because that's when I started seeing all your stuff. Because just so you all know out there, Cori and I met socially and had engaged socially way before that.
Yeah, I mean, we met probably in 2013.
Yeah, we met through a mutual friend at the club.
At the club. Yeah.
And I thought you were always nice and, you know, and personable and friendly. And she always said hi to me. And we'd, you know, how are you? Good? You know, just a little chit chat. And then we ran into each other a couple times after that. And then that's when you're all your social media. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Cori. I know her.
Yeah. I mean, that's when I hired a business coach. It was like after cancer. I was like, I'm so done with having cancer. I want to just do my business. So I hired a business coach. Still ended up in the hospital a few times, but I was like ready to go. And it was like, she's like, you got to show up on social media. And it was like such a hard time for me too, because my hair had fallen out.
Yeah.
And I was wearing a wig. And, you know, when you go through chemo, they put you on steroids. And so, like, people would be like, how much weight have you lost? I'm like, none. Like, because the steroids, like, make you puffy. And then they give you all of these pills to make it so you're not nauseous. And so then it's a lot. Yeah. So I just wasn't feeling like myself, right? I just had my boob cut off. Right? Like, so I was just like, if this is what I have to do to help more people, then this is what I have to do.
But you always looked great.
Thank you. You're very
always.
Kind. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like
I would tell.
You would never have, unless you know, people knew, they would never know.
Good.
Never.
But I think like, that was where it was like comparison, right? Because I would see other coaches who hadn't been coaching as long as me, and I would be like, why am I not further along? Why am I not making more money? But it was also like, that didn't serve me. That made me like just spiral. And so I think for me, I had to set boundaries around those things of like, if there's somebody that I'm following that even if they're the most amazing, wonderful person, they make me feel less than, then I can't.
If you start getting in your head, yeah.
Or even just changing, it's like, instead of it being like, well, that's not, I don't have that. It's like, well, I don't have that yet.
There
like,
you go.
It's happening for me.
It's coming.
Yeah. And it's not on my timeline.
Uh-huh.
You know, it depends on how hard I work. And, you know, the universe has got me back.
Yep. I love it. That's what I always say. And it's worked so far.
Yeah.
You just have to believe it. And you do have to do the work, right?
Totally.
You can't just sit there, people, and do nothing and expect everything to be handed to you.
Well, and I think it is uncovering those beliefs, your belief system.
Yeah.
Right? Because like, you know, I know that my mantra is everything is always working out for me. And I know there's going to be times where like, I'm going to struggle with that.
There might be a
in
bump.
my life. And there might be a bump. But I know ultimately at the end of the day, it is. And nothing happens the way you think it's going to.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so true. It's so true. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming again.
Thank you.
This was amazing because this was just some reminders for myself. So thank you.
Good. My pleasure. I love it. I mean, manifestation. It's so funny, like even watching my clients that have started working with me recently in the Goddess Globe Academy and like the manifestation that they're having, I'm just like, yes! Like it's so awesome.
Well, think about, because we've been getting kind of witchy over here, and we talk about that magical that all that energy. So that group is creating all that positive energy and focusing it into one place. How powerful is that?
Awesome. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's such a blessing to like be of service in that way and get to hear their wins and
watch them grow.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, right. It's like, I love life coaching, but selfishly it's like, it lights me up. But I think that's the thing too, is like, why I'm successful is because I want to be of service.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a coach that's like, I'm here to make $1 million. It's
right.
like, I want to serve as many people as possible because I know the impact that vision and goal work and manifestation and, you know, self-love and self-forgiveness, all of those things, I know the impact that they've had on my life.
Yep.
And, you know, I always tell people, Jake was my first life coaching client. Like that stuff, I mean, I wouldn't have the life I have today without all of that stuff. And I know if there's anybody out there that's like, I'm stuck, I'm not where I want to be, like, you can have the life that you want. You just have to be willing to do the work because it is work.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's
no.
like flip that switch, you know?
Yeah. Like I said, you can't just sit there and expect the switch to be flipped and everything's all good and fine and you're all better. No, it does. You do have to do the work and practice too.
Yes, I know. And I think everything's practice.
True.
You're never going to be perfect at any of the things.
Yeah.
It's always a practice.
Yep.
And there's times you're going to fail and that's okay. Yeah. Just get back on it.
I love that you say self-forgiveness instead of like forgiving necessarily other people, but like forgiving yourself first.
You do have to.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a lot of people's stress and anxiety and overwhelm is they don't forgive themselves for something that happens in the past, and then they replay it and replay it and replay it and replay it, and they're not realizing like, well, you are not manifesting your future because you are living in the past. Yeah. So what you're manifesting is that same relationship, that same experience, all those same things over and over and over. Yep. Because you live in the past, and it's because they haven't forgiven themselves. And I think I lived a lot in that where I didn't forgive myself. I didn't have that forgiveness for all those mistakes I made until I did, and it was like, again, a huge freeing thing. And I've seen it in my clients where I had a client that came to me in 2 years of replaying the same story. A situation happened, they were so upset about it, and they kept thinking about it for 2 years.
Oh my.
Until I was like,
hello,
please forgive yourself. Can you just forgive yourself?
Yeah.
And you know, that self-forgiveness,
there's also changing. Yeah, there's also the trick of they can say, yes, I forgive myself, but deep down they really don't. Yeah. And so that's also, again, something that is hard and has to be worked on. And
I always like to tell my clients, like, make self-forgiveness a part of your night routine. Like, forgive yourself for the mistakes you made throughout the day, because then it makes it easier when you do make a bigger mistake to forgive yourself, because you're like, I'm a human being.
Practice makes perfect, right? Yeah. Wow. We learned so much today, huh? Yeah. I got a refresher. I love it.
Oh, yay. Thanks so much for inviting me, you guys. I love it.
Thank you. And plug your services again, your coaching services.
So the Goddess Globe Academy is a 12-month program. It's so much fun. I would love for you guys to join me. So if you go to CoachCoriSartori.com, you can find out information. Or you can just text me. My number is 801-635-3907. But I have my book. It's called Thrive and Flourish, and that's on Amazon if you want to pick it up. I like it because it's, again, like we said, it's a simple read and it gives you the actions. Because I think that's where a lot of, you know, you'll read a self-development book and it will tell you things, but then you're like, well, now
what do I start? Yeah.
So each chapter is like, this is what you do.
Yeah.
So, and you can find me on Instagram at Coach Cori Sartori. And then, you know, LinkedIn and Facebook and everywhere else is Cori Sartori. So
awesome. I love it. Well, thank you again.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us again for another episode of How Do You Spirit. And please go to our YouTube channel and give us a follow. And we are also on all of the other social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, at How Do You Spirit. And if you have questions, comments, or want us to reach out to Cori or put you in touch with her, please comment on the episode, and we are happy to do that. And we always check to see if anybody has questions we can address for next time. So thanks again.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.